Hi, Jewish Mom. This past Friday was a really stressful Friday, getting everything ready, in like on such a short Friday. And during this very stressful short Friday, then I had a very frustrating encounter with one of my family members, and I was so infuriated by what had happened with this family member that even as the hours of Shabbat, like Shabbat had already come in, and I was furious. I was so furious that I didn't even want to come to Shabbat dinner. And kedei kach, I didn't even want to come to Shabbat dinner and have to sit with this family member at the table. And that would have been really, unpleasant for our kids, not to mention our guests. That I wouldn't show up. But that was just how angry I was. Just about as angry as I've ever been at any of my family members. Um, and so um, so basically, like it was time to have dinner, and I thought to myself, okay, um, I this is hard. This is very hard, but I am going to make a Shabbat korban, a Shabbat sacrifice to Hashem. And it's going to be instead of being all angry and not coming to dinner, I'm gonna put on a smile on my face and I'm going to be civil and even nice towards my family member, and just and come and peacefully come to dinner, as though everything's okay. And I actually did it, and I pulled it off. And even though I still felt a bit upset, like the following morning, but by like Shabbat, lunch, all my feelings of anger had dissolved towards this person, and I completely forgot about the whole thing. By now, I really completely forgot about the whole thing. But something interesting happened on Shabbat morning. So it was very. You can imagine how difficult it was for me to overcome my anger and to say, okay, Hashem, this is my korban for you, and to just go to dinner and just not act angry to this person, to come to dinner and not like scream at my family member. Okay? So something interesting happened on Shabbat morning. I was just walking down the street, and I saw an interesting sight. There's an entire family they were standing outside the window of I assume their apartment, like a father, mother, grandparents, all the children, standing outside trying to break into the window of, I assume, their apartment. So it turned out, I thought that they'd gotten locked out. It wasn't that. They explained that a toddler, a year-old toddler, had locked himself inside his room, and they had no way to get him out. They were trying to get into the window from outside with all trying to open up the bars by the window to get in and help this baby. And you can imagine it's a very scary situation, because not only was the child extremely upset to be locked in the room, it's also dangerous for a toddler to be locked in a room, by themselves. So I said to who I assume was the grandfather, I said, could I help you? Maybe you need some tools. And he said, do you live near here? And I said, yes, I live right over here. He said, do you have a maftech efes babayit? Do you have and I don't remember how you say this in English, but it's kind of like a key. It's a key that can be used for any internal door in a given house. So there's a lot of maftech efes. It's kind of like standard keys, um, but like there's lots of different kinds. But like in my house, every internal door can be open or locked with a certain maftech efes. Okay, so he said, do you have a maftech efes in your house? And I said yes. So I went back. One of the girls came with me, one of the daughters, and I sent back my mafteach efes, and they were going to see whether my mafteach matched their mafteach efes, which is very unlikely because there's lots of mafteach efes. There's a lot of these standardized keys for different houses for doors made by different companies, etc. But then the girl, I walked by the house again, walked back there, and then the girl ran out and said, "Toda, zavad, thank you, it worked." And it was an amazing feeling to feel like, wow, like I had helped this little baby, the toddler, escape from the room. And I felt right there, I felt like with this really clear, like clarity. I was like, that was because of my Shabbat sacrifice. That was because I overcame my anger, and it was so hard. It was so going against nature. I so wanted to just come down and like scream at my family member, and I didn't care what I didn't care what my guests would think, what everyone would think. I just need to get back at this person I'm so angry at. But I overcame my nature, and I just decided, okay, this is my Shabbat sacrifice, and I feel like the power of that sacrifice was what gave me the merit to help this baby be freed. Okay, so you might be thinking at this point, and I'm thinking at this point as I'm saying this, like, whoa, Hannah Jenny's really losing it. Like, this is really random connections between things. And really, maybe it is, and chances are probably it is. It is pretty nutty, and probably there is no connection. But I think it really is true. Like from spiritual things that we do, spiritual heroism. Then it has a real impact on the world. It does. Like we know from everything that we've ever heard, we've ever learned in any, Jewish anything, the power of Jewish heroism in that way, overcoming things that are difficult for us. Sorry to quote Hillary Clinton for those who love her, for those who hate her, but there's one thing one thing specifically that she said in the campaign that I liked. She said like in the midst of all like the mudslinging in this past campaign, she said, I learned, she said from Michelle Obama, Michelle Obama, she taught me, when they go low, you go high. And I think like spiritual heroism is like, in your life, when they go low and you go high, right? That's a spiritualism. Your kids, your husband, another family member, other various people in your life, when they go low and you manage somehow to stay high, that's really something. That is true spiritual heroism. So I wanted to share an interesting story. So I have this book, a new book that I got. It's called Harabi Sheli, Neshima Saprot al Harabi Milubavitch. It's called My Rebbe. Women tell about the Lubavitch Rebbe. And it's a great book. Unfortunately, it's only in Hebrew in the meantime. But there's a lot of inspiring stories here. It's about women and like their stories about their connection with the Rebbe. But there's a story here about a woman named Sarah Nachshon. So Sarah Nachshon, she was one of the pioneers after the 6-Day War, when Hebron was recaptured from the Jordanians. So she was one of like the leaders in establishing a Jewish community in Kiryat Arba and Hebron. So one of the most dramatic events of the establishment of the Jewish community in Hebron, what took place in 1979, 15 women and 35 children snuck into a place called Beit Hadassah, which was a Jewish hospital. And so everyone knew it was Jewish property. Jews knew it. Arabs recognized it as Jewish property. But the government didn't want to create a tense, create a tense situation with the Arabs. So they said, no moving, no Jews are allowed to live in Hebron itself. Okay. So these 15 women and 35 children decided they are going to take it on their hands. They are going to move into Beit Hadassah in the middle of the night. And so there were soldiers guarding Beit Hadassah from Jews entering to try and retake it. And so when the soldiers saw this group of 35 children and 15 women, they said, Meifo batem, how did you get in here? And one of the children said, Yaakov Avinu built us a ladder, and we climbed into it, and we came in. Okay, so it's an amazing story. These people, they ended up living in Beit Hadassah for 10 months. And it was a very, 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 very trying situation. You imagine 15 women and 35 young children. There were no windows. There were no doors. There was no refrigeration. There was no water. There were rats and mice, and it was very, very cold in the winter, because imagine there's no windows. I don't know if you've ever been to Hebron, but it can be, I was there in the winter. It's very, very, very cold and windy, kind of like a deserty, windy kind of thing. It's it's like, it was very, very, very challenging. And so after 7 months into their 10 months there, so Sarah Nachshon wrote to the Rebbe, she's a Chabadnik. She wrote to the Rebbe, and she said, this is going nowhere. She said, the government is not budging. They're not forcing us out, because they're just like letting us stay here, but we're not getting any. They're not making any concessions towards us. And so the Rebbe, a few weeks later, after Sarah Nachshon had sent this letter, a group of women, representatives of Neshei Chabad, of the Chabad Women's Organization, came back with like a military envoy to bring Sarah Nachshon a video, to show Sarah Nachshon a video. What was the video? Actually, it was a collected. I'm sorry, maybe it was a tape. I'm sorry, it was probably an audio tape. So in this audio tape was an audio tape of a Farbrengen that the Rebbe gave, and the Rebbe was talking in his Farbrengen about Sarah Nachshon and about the letter that she had written. And he said, these women are in this house, and it's very, very challenging circumstances. He said in tape, his call is, his voice in like a choked voice. He says, and I don't know what to tell them. I don't know what to tell these women. And he goes on to speak about Benot Tzlofchad, the daughters of Tzlofchad, who demanded to receive a portion of the land of Israel, and implying these women, Sarah Nachshon and these other 15 women and 35 children, they are like the daughters of Tzlofchad, going in to take their portion of the land of Israel. And Sarah Nachshon just says, what an incredible amount of chizuk, what an incredible amount of encouragement she got from knowing the Rebbe had spoke about her. The Rebbe had spoken about her in front of hundreds of people, and he was with her, and he believed in her mission, and that was what kept her going. It turned out then 3 months later, then actually the government allowed the establishment of a Jewish community in Hebron, because on a kind of tragic circumstances that six men who were standing by Beit Hadassah were murdered by Arabs, and so the government said, okay, if that's how the Arabs are doing things, then we're going to let the Jews stay, and we're going to let the Jews build a Jewish community around Beit Hadassah. So the reason I'm telling this story is because Sarah Nachshon, like, she felt so alone, like she felt like it's just me. This is spiritual heroism, but like it's just me. It's just me and my struggles dealing with the rats and lack of refrigeration, and me with my kids, lots of little kids, and it's too much. It's too much, and this isn't getting anyone anywhere. And then the Rebbe stood by her and said, no, said, you're not alone. I see your heroism. I see what you're doing. So I just want to say in conclusion, with all of us, at those moments in our life where we, where our kids are going low, and maybe our husband's going low, and this relative's going low, and that relative's going low, and that neighbor's going low, and we decide to go high, and we decide to choose instead spiritual heroism, then to remember the story, and remember like the reality of this, the reality of going against our nature. So we learn from Chazal that when we go against our nature, when we break our nature, then God will break nature for us. When we break our nature, then God makes miracles. And so I encourage you I encourage you that the next moment, you know, it's a given early morning, afternoon, bedtime, whenever, and you're in your own personal struggle as a mother, and you decide, and you decide to go high, to take the high road when someone else is taking the low road. That they should remember the Farbrengen of the Rebbe for Sarah Nachman. Remember, you're not alone. Somebody sees what you're doing. Hashem sees your spiritual heroism. And bless all of you Jewish moms with an amazing week. Kol tov.